You're listening to the Outer Banks This Week podcast, a place for people to hear what's going on up and down the beach and to get the truth about what really goes on around the Outer Banks. So, are you ready? Here we go.
All right. Thank you very much, Wes. The Outer Banks This Week podcast, episode number 74, all brought to you by Kelly's Automotive in Mania. One thing Kelly likes to say is, if it has doors, it can be yours, whether it be shed, which he kind of got into that game a little less than a year ago. And he's got cars, of course, used cars. And there's not many cars that he can't find. If you got your eye on something or there's something specific you're looking for, it's a good chance Kelly can go out and find it. I know. I've seen him do it. You can check him out online at kellysobxauto.com. See his inventory out there. All great vehicles, all certified. I mean, he backs everything he sells. And I know from experience, I've gotten a vehicle from him, and it works just fine. Everything is perfect with it. So, all that being said, check him out online at kellysobxauto.com. This is episode number 74 of the podcast, and it's kind of special today because I got Capt Marty sitting in here with me. What's going on, Captain?
Morning, Justin, or evening, or whatever time you happen to listen to the podcast. It could be morning, evening. It might be in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it could be.
But I'm glad to be here just the same.
Well, I'm glad you're here. And I got Marty here today, and we're going to jump into this in just a little bit. But we were talking about the tournaments that are coming up this year. We've got locally.
Billfish
tournaments. Yes, Billfish tournaments. Let's be specific here. Because you've got your Ocean City tournament. We've had the Morehead City tournament.
Two in Hatteras
already. Well, Ocean City hadn't happened yet.
No. Virginia Beach, yes. Ocean City, Cape May, the Mid-Atlantic, all those. Yeah, this is the summer part of the series.
Right.
But yeah, it's a much bigger deal, and we'll talk about that than it used to be. And some of our hometown boys have really brought some sack full of money back. But we'll talk more in depth about why we chose this time to talk about it, because you and I are getting ready to go over and work our local tournaments over at Pirates Cove.
That's right. We've got the 21st Annual Carolina Boatbuilders Tournament that's happening this week. We also, coming up in a few weeks, got the Alice Kelly Memorial Tournament, the Ladies Angler Only Tournament, and then we have the Pirates Cove Big Game Tournament coming up as well, which is, almost directly after it. I think a day separates the Alice Kelly Tournament and the Pirates Cove Big Game Tournament in August. And we're going to talk about some of those tournaments, what they mean, and how they operate. And Marty is a professional when it comes to the intricacies of these tournaments and how they function and the different rules that apply. And it's not as simple as like, I'm just going to sign up for this fishing tournament today. It's a little bit more than that.
That's very true. But there are ways you can participate if you like the atmosphere of being around the most beautiful fleet of sport fishing boats in the world. There are ways you can participate, and there are different kinds of tournaments that we'll be talking about. But that's Pirates Cove is going to be our epicenter for tournament life for the next couple of weeks. So it's a great time to talk about it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just thankful right now, Marty. I'm thankful, but I'm sad. Baseball season is kind of come to a close for me. I was helping with my son's baseball team this past spring. I got asked to help coach the All-Star team. We did some traveling out to Williamston. We were in a Hosky. We came up a little short in a Hosky. So we ended up in third place, which I think we were third place out of like 15 teams.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Something like that, yeah.
But you're coaching too, right? You're not just a parent in this grandstands.
No, I was on the field with the kids.
Ripping your shirt off and swearing and all. So you're actually participating.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It was fun. I bonded with those boys really well. Had a great time with them. There's going to be some opportunity to continue coaching with some of them. I got to talk to some of the other coaches about that, but we'll see what happens. But for now, it's over. And I'm kind of glad of it because I was getting behind with some work stuff and I'm getting caught up. Something else though, Marty, it was dry around here forever. And I know in some of your fishing reports, when in more recent days, we've talked about it being raining and how we've needed the rain around here. Now it seems like every day it's rained half the day. But
very true. And remember, we're in the drought now. Where I live over in Hyde County, and for the farmers, the drought was. Can you imagine working your whole year, and then all of a sudden your yield is down by 50%?
Yes,
really bad.
No, I can't imagine.
So over here, I just saw it not long before I came in here to the studio today. we've only had at my house 2 inches of rain in the last 2 weeks. You've had like 12.
Something like that. It's been crazy.
It's been hugging the coast. It crosses us, but doesn't dump out. It gets over here where that Gulf Stream, the influence of the warm water of the Gulf Stream and all that. And another thing is with our sounds and bodies of water, that affects the weather. But yeah, we've had a lot. My tomatoes, I was going to bring you tomatoes, but it had all that heat. Then we got the rain we wanted. You know what that does? And they all burst. They burst open.
Right.
All the tomatoes burst open.
Wow. Well, we've got our fair share around here. You know, maybe we'll see if we can ship some of the rain over to Hyde County for you, for your gardens and everything like that. You know, something I just kind of want to mention real quick before we jump into everything. I said this a few weeks ago, and we're not a religious podcast. We don't, preach or anything like that, like on the podcast. But if you do come into town and you are looking for a church to maybe go to for a Wednesday night service, or if you're here through a Sunday and you want to hit a Sunday service before you head home, or whatever the case may be, so many great churches here. Marty can attest to that for sure. I'm a soon-to-be member, not a member yet, but I attend Wanchie's Assembly of God right there. It's where Mill Landing Road and the lane split. It's right there. Red Brick Church is what we used to call it as kids. And I attend that church. So if you ever want to come sit with me on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m., 95% of the time, that's where you're going to find me on a Sunday morning, unless I'm going one direction or the other. But there's so many great churches up and down the beach, from Corolla all the way down to Ocracoke and all else in between. Marty, you go to church
all my life,
all your life.
Yeah, over in our stretch of the world, there's a church on every corner, just about, but they're small in attendance. We would have 25 on a busy Sunday. It's just rural country churches. But yeah, I do. I've been going to church. I lay speak a lot lately. And you're right. And you got to keep in mind when you were mentioning that, our fleet, there's always a tie in the fleet. One of the best spiritual men I ever knew was Captain Omi Tillett. And Omi went to your church. And Omi started the prayer in the fishing fleet, which is an incredible story in itself. That prayer that he started, and when he first started it on the VHF radio, and let me tell you, Justin, when the sun is coming up and you're on your boat heading offshore, and you have the prayer, and in the beginning it was not well received, and everyone said, "Oh, there's Omi again," But then not too long after that, somebody would have a sick child or something going on financially or whatever, and they would all of a sudden start saying, "Omi, Can you say a little prayer?" And so that prayer has spread first to Rudy and then to Hatteras and Morehead City. Now it goes all up and down the East Coast. All that started in the prayer circle that you just mentioned.
That's amazing. And I mean, we are in the Bible Belt here.
We are.
So there's a lot of churches here that if you wanted to attend a service, whether you're Baptist, Presbyterian, whatever denomination, whatever religion, they're here. And we welcome, and I know that they will welcome you to come in their sanctuary and worship. So I just wanted to throw that out there one more time. I was thinking about if there was anything newsworthy to mention. Nothing that's really jumping out at me locally, Marty. Can you think of anything that's jumping out at you locally that's worth mentioning? I mean, Sam Walker pretty much covers it all. Mm-hmm. I just can't think of anything that's just jumping out of my mind.
Well, the newsworthy stuff is what we're going to be talking about in just a few minutes.
Yes.
Which we're going to talk about how to participate in the Billfish tournament, how they're structured, what happens to the money going in, what happens to the money coming out. But this is not just any small event. The amount of money in these tournaments coming up are bigger than a lot of sporting events around the world. So it is in itself newsworthy.
Right. Absolutely. So we'll jump into that. But for all other news that you may seek or desire to hear about on the Outer Banks, you go to samwalkerobxnews.com. Sam, he is the answer. I think we developed that name for him when you were in here last time with me, Marty. Calling, he's the answer to the news or something. I can't remember how we said it, but I just figure if you got any news questions on the Outer Banks, Sam Walker is the answer. I remember when you and I worked with him in the radio world, I referred to him as Grand Slam Sam Walker.
Yeah.
Because every news article he did was a grand slam.
It's in his blood.
Yes.
You got to. And the thing I like about Sam is you don't have to worry about a political bias. He's right down the middle, straight up. He'll give you the news like old Walter Cronkite style is what I say, and that's what I like.
Well, he's fantastic at what he does. It's Sam Walker at OBXnews.com. I want to thank my buddy Ryan Walker from Juan Cheese Off-Road. He is a sponsor of Captain Marty. He's been a sponsor of the podcast for quite some time now. He's one of my, I believe, one of my day oneers since the podcast started. And I'll thank him for coming in, talking about his shop over in Kidulph Hills and all of the things that he can do for you in the vehicle world, his story about how he got started. Because Ryan and I went to school together. We lived next door to each other just about my whole life. We had a 10-foot path through the woods of the cemetery that went to his backyard. And anyway, we probably, he said it something like we put 10 miles on 10 foot of path. Walking through the woods to each other's houses as kids.
He wasn't one of the riding lawnmower guys, was he? And once you remember when they all had those riding mowers that would do 60 miles an hour?
His little brother was one of them, and Rex over at Mancanics.
Yeah.
Rex was one of them.
I got passed by a riding lawnmower in one time. And I don't mean just pass. I mean like blown by me. Some little kid, like he looked like the Red Baron going down the road. Well, he knew I couldn't catch him. I mean,
that was
what the heck
likely.
Are y'all doing
that was likely Rex Mann from Mancanics. See, I'm telling your stories now, Rex. He was a spearhead in that, but Ryan soups up big jacked up diesel trucks these days and takes them out. I heard some racing stories from him not long ago. But anyway, I want to thank him for being a part of the podcast on the last episode. Hey, your fishing report's out, Marty. Beautiful looking fishing report. I actually sent an autographed copy of your fishing report out of here the other day with one of our sales staff, Celeste.
Yeah.
We're so thankful to have you. I say this every week.
You mean our fishing guide?
Yeah, the fishing guide.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the fishing guide is out. It's at all your tackle shops. It's up and down. It's at different places up and down the beach. You can't miss it. It's tackle box size, perfect size for taking out there onto the pier, looking at different things. Marty put a lot of time and effort into his articles. We got so many sponsors for it. And, of course, we're really excited at what we can do next year with the fishing guide. But, of course, your fishing reports, we're putting them online every day. Your stories, we're recording more and more. And I'm hoping and praying, when I get with the big bosses here at Outer Banks this week, that in the near future we can start developing this plan to start doing somewhat like what you used to do in some regards to getting up to the minute type stuff, live type stuff, more interactive. Yeah, with the different tackle shops, some of our clients, Ricky Radcliffe. I know he's chomping to be a part of that out in Bellhaven. We're making steps towards it. We've overcome a few obstacles with it, and we're hoping to get like a good 800 number. We're looking at 1-800-MARTY or 1-800-Capt Marty or something to that degree. I don't know, but Boss Man Phil is reading and researching right now on how we can hardwire some different things here into the studio and make this happen the right way. So be ready for that to happen. I'd say at least by the fall. So that's something we're doing. But yeah, like I said, fishing reports and your stories are all online at OuterBanksThisWeek.com, and you're on all the major podcast platforms. So, and
if you're out and about, I'd love to meet you at Pirates Cove. This is a great time to say hello. And for the Boatbuilders tournament, Justin, I will be. There's a couple things. If you can go to DCBBF, Dare County Boatbuilders Foundation. And that's their website for this tournament, which raises scholarship money. But there's a listen live button there where you can hear me talking to the captains all day long as they score their catches. But then later in the day, as you know, Justin, I'll be the weighmaster for that tournament. And that's a pretty chill job. And I'll be sitting outside the door to the pavilion. The pavilion is on the, on the north side of the marina, not the highway side.
Nope.
And the marina for visitors is Pirates Cove Marina on the Manio Nags Head Causeway. But I'll be there every day in the evenings and come by and say hi.
Yes, absolutely. I know anybody that's a listener.
Are we going to have a stack of fishing guides at
I will make sure that there are fishing guides available, and I'll send some out of here with you today that you can maybe take over there this evening if you want.
Yeah.
But I'll make sure that we've got an abundance. Don't worry about that. We're going to jump into some shout-outs here in just a few moments, Marty, but hear in from some of our sponsors, namely one of them right here, Teach's Lair Marina down in Hatteras. I know you've talked with Aaron down there before. He got you, kind of helped set up with the the Hatters Village offshore opened.
They sure did, and put me up in a nice place too.
Yeah, so we're gonna check in with Teach's Lair right now.
Teach's Lair Marina in Hatteras Village is the closest spot on the Outer Banks to the Gulf Stream. Just inside Hatteras Inlet, Teach's Lair is fully loaded with bait, tackle, ice, snacks, and drinks for your fun-filled day out on the water. Want to get rigged up to catch the big one? Lee and the gang in the tackle shop can outfit you to catch whatever is eager to get hooked. To see the marina, the tackle shop, or to book a charter, go online to teacheslair.com. Teach's Lair Marina in Hatteras Village. Your fishing venture awaits.
Real. That's the first word that comes to mind when I think about Outland Seafood in Mans Harbor. Yeah, they're the first and last place you see coming to and leaving the Outer Banks on Highway 64 in Dare County, but they're also real when it comes to fresh local seafood. Troy Outland, real. Curtis and Josh, real. The indoor crab shedders, real. Stop by and see for yourself right next to White Shopping Center and check them out on social media. Outland Seafood in Mans Harbor, real. Yes, Outland Seafood right there. It's the first and last place you see coming to and leaving the Outer Banks in Dare County, right next to White Shopping Center. Troy Outland, Josh, Curtis, those folks over there. They got the indoor crab shedders, fresh local seafood. I know that Troy, they're fishing all the time, so you can check them out, outlandseafood.com, and go inside the store and grab yourself something there as well.
Yes, and if you like grouper or tilefish,
okay,
they have it there at Outland Seafood, and of course they serve them next door. The grouper sandwiches. So
that's right.
Really, I'm like their biggest promoter, and all that comes directly from Outland Seafood, which comes directly from the boat.
Right.
And then what is it? 75 yards to the grill. To the
not far at all.
No, and man, I'm telling you, I told them what a really good grouper sandwich is. And that's Florida style, is where it hangs off a little on both sides. Mm-hmm. Always has to be 2 pieces of grouper, and you got to have enough hanging off either side. So the first bite is just pure grouper.
Right.
Now I like mine with lettuce and tomato and tartar. But I used to like it with cheese on it, and that's what they said. They pretty much threw me out. Like, you can't have cheese. But they do at McDonald's. I mean, their fish sandwich has cheese, right?
I believe so.
It can't compare to what they have at Outland Seafood and White's.
No, you're absolutely right. I actually got that grouper sandwich at White's on your recommendation.
Yeah.
And it was very, very good. Very, very good. All right, jumping to some shout-outs, Marty. I don't know if you have any shout-outs you want to do, but I have 3 right here that I want to do. And the first one this past weekend, I took my son, Austin, my oldest, and we went. I got a cousin that lives in Durham. And the original plan was to go to some Durham Bulls baseball games while we were in town, and I was going to take him into Raleigh and hit up some of the museums and see some cool stuff there. Well, I messed up and read the schedule wrong, and the Durham Bulls were not actually in town. They were in Jacksonville, Florida, playing against the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. That's the name of their team. And I was thinking it was going to be a home game, because when I told Austin the name of the team, I was like, dude, they're playing the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. And Austin was like, oh, really? And I was like, that'll be fun.
Wait a minute. Now tell me who they are again.
The Durham Bulls against the
I know. I have a friend that works for the Durham Bulls. A good friend. Yeah,
really?
She's in charge of their catering services at the park. And that's wide-ranging.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Well,
and can I interrupt?
No, go ahead.
I got to tell you, have you heard the new minor league team over in the area around New Bern over that way?
The Down East Wood Ducks?
No, that's fine. No, we have the Yard Gnomes. Now.
Yard Gnomes?
The Yard Gnomes. And I forgot.
I'm not familiar
with
them.
Gnomes. They're little elves.
No, I know what they are, but I'm not familiar with the team.
Well, who names our baseball team the Yard Gnomes?
Well, I didn't know if anybody would name a team the Jacksonville, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp either.
That's what made me think of it.
Well, but then there's another team in Montgomery, Alabama called the Montgomery Biscuits.
Really?
Yeah. See, it's cool though. Like, I love it. I would definitely buy Yard Gnome apparel. From them. But yeah, with all that being said, so we didn't get to any ball games, but I did take him by the North Carolina Baseball Hall of Fame in Wilson. That was pretty cool. I was kind of impressed with that. It's not very big. It's not a very big building. It's right next to the Wilson. They have a summer league team there. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's attached to that complex, this North Carolina Baseball Hall of Fame. And they have something in there from every North Carolina born or North Carolina player that played at like a high school in North Carolina. Not like every college player or anything, but like if you played baseball for a high school team and made it to the pros in North Carolina, you have a spot in that Hall of Fame. So it was so crazy too, because there was a player that was in the Hall of Fame that is now playing for the Atlanta Braves, and he just signed with the Braves a few days ago, and my son Austin was like, Daddy, he was in the Hall of Fame. He's from North Carolina. I was like, no, he's not. And I looked and I was like, wow, how do you remember that? But they have something from everybody in there. And they of course, Catfish Hunter, Gaylord Perry, some of those Hall of Famers have big displays, but some of the ones that actually played a major league game that either grew up, lived in North Carolina, played high school baseball in North Carolina somewhere, have a spot. They have a little spot. It might just be one of their baseball cards, but they still have a spot. I thought that was really cool. And it showed where Babe Ruth's very first professional home run was hit in Fayetteville during spring training when he was part of the Baltimore Oriole team before they traded him or sold him off to Boston or whatnot. I thought that was really cool. Just different things like that. So I wanted to give them a quick shout out because it was a really neat little complex. I also want to give a shout out to the city of Raleigh. I enjoyed being in downtown Raleigh, going to the museums. Everybody was really nice. We went to the Science Museum. We went to the History Museum. We went to the Capitol building, walk around there, just looking at some of that stuff. Really enjoyed being there and had a great time while we were there. So the city of Raleigh, I know I'm supposed to be talking about Outer Banks stuff, but I just enjoyed being there. It was kind of neat to see some of the stuff.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I hadn't been there in years, and I was like, this is kind of cool. Now, Austin, he wasn't as into it as I was, but like it was still cool for him. He had never been, and I wanted to take him. So it was a nice little father-son weekend. It was cool.
Raleigh intimidates me.
Really?
And not just because it's a big city, but I have a hard time finding my way around. Of course, my daughter's like, well, why don't you use your phone? And I'm old school where I had to navigate out in the ocean. I want to know where I'm at. I want to know what direction to go home, all that. I've kind of bent a little more towards my navigator. I do have to admit, sometimes it's really handy. But yeah, and I do have a shout out too.
Okay. All right. Let's hear it.
Well, this is a shout out, hope you get better shout out.
Okay.
My old mate, Clay Madry, fished with me for 2 years on the Reelin. A lot of people remember that boat. Lives in Bath, North Carolina,
okay.
Home of Blackbeard, the
yes.
pirate. And he's just a year or two younger than me, but living the good life and kind of chilling out a little bit, minding his own business, driving across the bridge over to Bath on the highway. With his daughter in the passenger seat, he's driving. All of a sudden, something comes through the windshield of his car and hits him in his right eye and blinds him. I want to see if you can guess what it was, but it blinds him in that eye, broke all the bones in his face. Luckily, it did not blind him, broke the bridge of his nose, and instantly bloodied him up. What do you think came through the windshield of that car?
I have two guesses.
Okay.
My first thought was a seagull or a pelican.
Not too soft.
Too soft. That was what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking a sinker of some sort being casted.
No, but that's a great guess.
I was thinking something harder, maybe a big sinker.
It was something harder. You won't believe this. I didn't know this could happen.
What is it?
It's talk about a freak accident. It was a brake pad.
What?
A brake pad off a car coming the way. Their brake pad came off. You know what they look like,
yeah.
how heavy they are.
Yeah.
Came flying across the road, hit. You should see the hole in his windshield. Came through his windshield and hit him right between the eyes.
I thought somebody got wild with a fishing rod underneath the bridge.
He spent a day in the hospital to make sure he didn't have a concussion or whatever. But Clay, my shout out to you is count your blessings, buy a lottery ticket, and
yeah,
what a freak accident.
Holy
so that's my
smokes.
shout out.
Okay, all right, my goodness, a brake pad. That's wild.
Never heard of it.
Well, I got one more, Marty, real quick. Jill Siemens, I'm hoping I'm saying her last name the right way. She emailed in and she said, Justin, just wanted to reach out, say my family went out on the Harbor Star Dolphin Tour and loved it. The captain and the mate were excellent. Saw tons of dolphins. Been listening since day one. Loves the podcast. I told them I heard about the Dolphin Tour on the podcast. Thanks for continuing the podcast. They listen every week. Take care and go Braves. I love that so much, Jill. Thank you for your email. Thank you for getting on the Harbor Star. I know they appreciate it. Love that you're a Braves fan. And thank you for just being a loyal listener to the podcast. That really means a lot. It's nice to be able to talk and interact with you all. So, and again, if you're a listener of the podcast or you got any questions for Marty, you can always email me, podcast@outerbanksthisweek.com. I can get your questions to Marty, and whatever you need to know, we can make it happen. Or if you just want to shout out, or you're a listener of the podcast.
Or if you like gardening.
Or if you like
I'm
gardening.
a garden nut.
Or if you're a single female with a lot of hunting land.
Yeah, I tell you.
There you go.
Send me a picture of the hunting land.
The picture of the hunting land has to come with it. Podcast@outerbanksthisweek.com. All right, we're going to jump into this tournament talk here in just a few moments. Got a couple sponsors coming up. We're going to mention them. Got Crystal Dawn and Breeze Through and Avon. But first, we got to check in. Where is this guy going to be this week? You never know with Matty P. Matty P hits the streets, and when he hits the streets, he hits them hard, and he is all about his nightlife. And let me tell you something, that guy Matty P, he is a piece of work. So we're going to check in right now with your boy and mine, Matty P.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Matty P, back with another edition of OBX After Dark, brought to you by Outer Banks This Week. Let me tell y'all where I was at this weekend, man. Your boy Matty P was back and at it again, out on the prowl, y'all. Look, took a couple weeks off, went to the gym, went and saw some fireworks, went to the fun fair, hadn't been out in a while, but Matty P decided to go out this weekend, and guess where he went, y'all? He went down to Jack Brown's burger joint. Beer and burger at Jack Brown's, man, can't beat it. Jack Brown's has some of the best burgers on the beach, and they've got a great spot for bands, live music and entertainment, and so I went down there on Saturday night, and it rained. It was pouring down rain when I got there, but that didn't stop the party, y'all. So look, once it stopped raining, your boy Matty P went inside, got himself a happy dad, and went outside to listen to the band, and man, it was rocking and rolling out there. And like I said, it had just rained, so everybody was, soaking wet, running around there with no shoes on, having a great time with no cares in the world. And look, man, if you're looking for something to do, Jack Brown's always has something going on, whether it be a band, the silent disco, live music, whatever it may be, Jack Brown's is the place to go, if you're looking for something fun to do. Now, Matty P, what was the BPL at Jack Brown's? Well, let me talk to you, y'all. Look, the BPL at Jack Brown's was a solid 8.4. 8.4. Yeah! Now, look, I only say that because I didn't stay there too long, so I didn't get to see the full effect. But what I did see, man, whew, Lord have mercy. Look, y'all, stay tuned. We'll be back next week with another edition of OBX After Dark. We got something special for you guys, so holla at your boy.
Scrambling around to different stores, in and out of the car multiple times to make sure you have everything you need for the beach, that can be such a hassle. But not with the Breeze Through in Avon. Breeze Through is your one stop for gas, beer, drinks, ice, sandwiches, snacks, coffee, sunscreen, and the best part? You don't even have to get out of your vehicle. That's right, just sit tight. Breeze Through will bring everything you need right to your car. Looking for a keg for a special event or gathering? Breeze Through is the only store on Hatteras Island who sells them. Breeze Through Avon, milepost 55, and online at breezethroughobx.com.
Come and experience fishing for the whole family aboard the Crystal Dawn at Pirates Cove Marina in Manio. The Crystal Dawn is a roomy 65-foot headboat, fully equipped with the latest gear to give you the best fishing experience. Worried about getting seasick? Fear not. The Crystal Dawn stays in safer and shallower waters to lessen the likelihood of that happening. Half-day and private fishing trips are available. To find out more, go online to crystaldawnheadboat.com. The Crystal Dawn Headboat out of Pirates Cove. Fishing that is fun for all ages.
Yes, the Crystal Dawn Headboat out of Pirates Cove Marina for sunset cruising. Or if you want to go do some fishing with the Crystal Dawn, you can do so. Go online to crystaldawnheadboat.com. All right, Marty, speaking of Pirates Cove, and, the Crystal Dawn was owned by Big Alan Foreman. I believe Charles is taking it over now. Mm-hmm. But Big Al, he was a frequent flyer of these tournaments, a lot of them.
Won several.
Yes, he did. Got you in here today because we do have the 21st annual Carolina Boatbuilders tournament. It used to be called the Boatbuilders Challenge, didn't it? No?
No.
What am I thinking of?
It might have been, but if it is, I don't remember that. But
Yeah.
I can tell you how that tournament started. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. But we also have the Pirates Cove tournament, the big game tournament coming up in August. And right before that tournament is the Alice Kelly tournament.
Right. Alice Kelly was one of my longtime charters and a good friend of mine. But yeah, and the Boatbuilders tournament is a charity tournament that raised over $150,000 last year for students, local students. It started many years ago when Taylor Harrison, who was a boat builder, lost his battle with cancer. I had 2 kids going to Carolina.
Okay.
And John Bayless and Mike Merritt said, we ought to try to do something to keep them in college till they can finish. They did that to both kids finished in Chapel Hill.
Okay.
And then they said, well, that worked good. Let's keep doing it. So they went from that start to now a big volunteer staff of which you and I are part. And then last year they gave away 40-some scholarships, and it's a 3-day tournament. You fish 2 out of 3 days. But that's what will get us kicked off locally. And then there are a lot of different kinds of tournaments, Billfish tournaments. These are all centered around marlin. There's actually so many tournaments. There could be a meat fishing tournament. It could be a freshwater tournament, like a bass tournament. But what we're talking about is big money, the nicest fleet of sport fishing boats in the world. And we are talking about offshore, Gulf Stream, that runs right by us, closer here than anywhere on the East Coast. And that's what we're getting ready to start with.
Well, I know that, there's all these different tournaments, and you made me think when you talk about Meatfish Tournament, I know they just did the first annual Jim Tobin Dolphin Tournament in memory of one of our county commissioners, and also very, very deeply woven into the Pirates Cove community.
One of the owners.
One of the owners. Okay, I was going to say owner. Him and Tammy.
The marina, the pavilion, the ship store, a lot of it.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't want to be wrong.
A lot of the
there.
marina assets.
Yes.
Not so much the real estate.
Got it.
Nice people. I've worked with them for years. And, they did in his memory. They had a dolphin tournament. I was talking to Tammy about it not too long ago, and they had a lot of fun and caught a lot of fish. But in the tournaments, all tournaments, the money, most of the money is on the billfish. But there are prizes and trophies, and in some cases, a lot of money for the meat categories too. Most all of the billfish tournaments are structured to try to release as many marlin as possible, with exception in some tournaments of big blue marlin. The scoring system is a little bit complex, but again, you don't get any points in many tournaments unless you release the fish, and then it's got to be over 400 pounds and up to bring one in the boat. And that brings up the very first question. What do they do with the ones they bring in the boat? A little bit controversial, but down in Hatteras, they eat them. We have never built them up as a rep. We don't want them to have a reputation as an eating fish. They're a game fish. We'd like to see most of them released. However, if you're going to put one on the dock and you eat it, I'm good with that. There's a couple people down in Hatteras that take them to the smokehouse and they smoke them. Next day, they bring them all back down to the marina and pass them out up and down the dock. Pretty good. So the answer to that question is they are edible. They're not good. They're not great for broiling or bacon, but they are edible.
Gotcha.
So what happens in these billfish tournaments, there's 2 ways to fish a tournament.
Okay, I was going to ask, if I wanted to fish a tournament, Mark, how do I get started?
You mean as a competitor?
As a competitor, yeah. I want that big money.
All right, so there's 2 ways of doing it. You can either charter a boat.
Okay.
When you charter a boat, you have a it's called home field advantage. You have a boat that fishes out of Oregon. Now let's use Pirates Cove as an example.
Okay.
So you have a boat that fishes those waters every day, a captain and mate that have worked together every day, and you can charter the boat to enter the tournament. So right off the bat, the first thing you have to decide, if you were to charter a boat for a tournament and not have an agreement on what you're going to do if you win money, you'd be foolish. I had fished a few tournaments that way, but when you charter a boat right off the top, and this would be true for the other option, which is fishing on a privately owned boat. But either way, the captain and the mate usually, like NASCAR, so many things are like NASCAR. It's a team sport, and the driver gets a percentage of the winnings. Same thing here. The captain and mate usually have an agreed upon amount. of what they're going to get out of the winnings. So we talked about chartering the boat. So you're going to pay the charter fee for the boat, and they'll usually put a little extra on that for fuel because they burn a lot of extra fuel. Then you're going to pay the entry fees to the tournament. And I'm bouncing around a little bit, but just know that even in the Pirates Cove Billfish tournament, entry fee roughly $20,000 to fish. All the tournaments have categories, and there's the really biggest grand prize, but roughly $20,000. Now, this Boatbuilders tournament, it's a charity tournament, a lot less money to fish, but still it's probably over $10,000.
Okay.
The Big Rock tournament and the Ocean City tournament are two biggest money tournaments. Those closer to $30,000 to end the tournament. And that is the posted prize money. That's not counting the Calcuttas, which are done on the dock with a brown paper sack. They're done by their private prizes.
Wow, okay.
So now that's the charter boat way. If you're going to get on a privately owned boat, this is a boat, this is what a big part of the tournaments are. This is boats that are owned privately and the boats are all, you might as well say $1 million and up. And some of them, Michael Jordan's new boat that was built here in Wanchese by Bayless Boatworks, $17, $18 million boat.
Ooh.
But in those cases, there's different things. It could be a business deal. The owner of the boat could be entertaining clients, and he pays the entry fee. Or the owner of the boat could say, I want to fish the tournament. We'll use my boat, but you guys pay my fuel and pay the entry fee. And so there's a lot of different ways of structuring being a competitor, which is what you said.
Okay.
So the entry fee goes in. Then you have to think about, what if we win? And I'll give you a good example of what happens when you win big money in your local. But the IRS is going to take a chunk of it right off the bat. So you got to keep that in mind. And then that leaves you half to split up. Just recently, this is a good one. Ron Whitaker, my old friend down in Hatteras on the release.
Right.
He fished the Big Rock tournament. He actually finished in second, but he was in all of the prize categories, so he actually won the biggest money. And he won over $2 million. And you could say, wow, old charter boat guy from Hatteras, $2 million.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, the government is going to get a big piece of that. Then his son, they won that fabulous fisherman prize. That's the first blue marlin put on the dock that weighs over 500 pounds. And they caught it 2 minutes ahead of the next boat.
Wow.
But they won, for that alone, they won $1.7 million. However, his son, who is also a guide and a mate, his son said, I want to pay that entry fee, or pay part of that entry fee. And so his son put that money up. It was a lot of money too. Just for that category alone was $7,000-8,000. So this young man put that money up and they won it.
Oh, wow.
So his son gets half of whatever they won.
Holy
Pretty
smokes.
cool. Then Rom just flew over to Bermuda for the Bermuda Challenge, which is going on. They won that tournament. He was an angler in that tournament. They won $470,000 in that one. So the point being, there's a lot of money. It's split up a lot of different ways, and there's a lot of different entry fees in the tournament. But if you want to be an angler, the very first thing you need to do is know what you're going to do if you win.
Okay. All right. So that's if I want to be an angler. Now, let me ask you this. Angling, out there fishing. I didn't really catch a blue marlin just now, but hey, Marty, hooked up. It is 10:58 in the morning, and I'm hooked up blue. Hey, Marty, it's 11:05, release blue marlin. But I didn't really do it.
That's a great point. Keep in mind that a blue marlin, of the billfish we typically catch, are sailfish, white marlin, blue marlin. Sailfish average 50 pounds, 6 feet long. White marlins average 55 pounds, 7 feet long. Blue marlin average 300 to 500 pounds and are 12 feet long. So they should be a more meritorious catch. But how do you, without laying them on the dock, which we try to avoid, how do you give credit and more prize money or more points for a blue marlin over a white and silver? Because people could say, release the blue marlin, and they didn't get a real good, it might have been a white marlin, much smaller. So what they do is if you're blue marlin, there's two things that keep people honest.
Okay.
One is all in the Pirates Cove tournament. All Billfish releases are something like 150 points, blue, white, and sail. But on the blue marlin, if you have it photo verified, we give them each a colored ribbon every day, a colored ribbon, and they have to hold that ribbon up and get it in front of the camera with that blue marlin in the background. Then they bring that picture of whether it's a GoPro or your phone, whatever. Everybody on board, of course, is snapping pictures.
Right.
They bring it back to me or others. That's one of my jobs. And I say, yep, that sure is a blue marlin. You know the difference, Justin? The blue marlin, all the fins are pointed. White marlin, all of the fins are rounded.
That's right.
So it takes a trained eye. Look at that. Okay, now instead of the 150 points, you get 400 points. It is more meritorious. Okay, but there are other things. A lot of tournaments are IGFA tournaments where the angler has to hook the fish. The mate, a professional, anybody that's a professional captain or mate within the last year cannot be an angler. So you got all that. So what happens was, and in fact tonight we don't worry about it so much in a honor tournament like the Boatbuilders, but in the Pirates Cove tournament, we tell them from day one, if you're in the money, if you've won any money on the last day of the tournament, do not drink alcohol, do not do anything else, and be prepared when you get to the dock, because we will decide, our rules committee will decide we can take one person off your boat. Might be the captain, might be the mate, might be an angler, it might just be someone that was on board the boat. We pull them over to a special place in Pirates Cove, and we have a certified polygraph test. The guy that does it in Virginia Beach for all the law enforcement agencies comes down. He's all set up, and we do not tell him on the boat who we're going to take. And we can take more than one if there's some question. We send him over there, and it may not pass in a court of law, but in tournament law, it does pass. If you fail the polygraph, you're out of the money. And that's
wow.
Listen to this, Justin. We are so fortunate. In all the years I've been there, we've never had anybody fail the polygraph. Of course, that keeps you pretty darn honest.
It does.
When on day one, they tell you could be polygraphed. But up at Ocean City a couple years ago, that guy had won a ton of money.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and he failed the polygraph. It was millions of dollars, and they took it from him.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I do remember
It's
that.
a
Was
real
big
thing.
news.
That's how we keep them honest, and that's how we keep a lot of the fish released.
Well, I remember, Marty, now this was, over 20 years ago. I had fished the Pirates Cove tournament with my dad when he was captain of a boat called, it was the Sea Jinx turned Bluebird. That was owned by Clark Jenkins, Senator Clark Jenkins. And I remember fishing that tournament with my dad, and a gentleman boarded the boat one morning that I didn't know who he was. I thought Dad knew him. Come to find out, I asked my dad who he was. He said he's an observer.
Right.
Somebody that's just on the boat to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do. Now, at first, I was kind of offended by it because I was like, we haven't, we're doing what why are they putting him on our boat? Are they questioning us right now?
I'm the one that put him on your boat. It was my job
so it's
for me.
your fault that he was on my boat.
I handled the observers. That was the largest headache I've ever dealt with. I've been doing tournaments for a long time. Observers were judges. Here's the problem. First of all, we're expecting in Pirates Cove 150 boats, 150 observers. You have to feed them all. They volunteer. But we schooled them on the difference between, but they made errors. They were, and you said, don't talk to the captain, just sit on the bridge and watch, and they would talk the captain's ear off. But the worst case scenario was one day the boats got back to the dock, and the boat called me and says, "Can you come get your observer?" I'm like, "What, is he injured? Is he hurt?" He says, "No, he's passed out drunk." So,
oh my Lord!
That was the last year we did observers, and now, as you can see, we do the polygraph.
Yeah, that makes better sense. I mean, it's unfortunate that there are people out there that will try to fudge that. I mean, there's a lot of money involved, so anybody's. I can see where there's some maybe not so trustworthy individuals that might try to push the envelope there. But it's like you said, I mean, there was a situation a few years back in Ocean City, like you were just talking about, where a guy failed it. So that's part of it. I mean, these big money involved, you got to be honest because you will get caught.
And do you remember, what was it, last year the guys had stuffed the bass in that freshwater tournament? They had stuffed them full of lead.
Oh, yeah.
Walleye, bass, I forget what it was. A big deal.
Yes.
And they got caught. Well, the polygraph does a great job of keeping people honest. So that's a real situation.
All right, so let's talk about some of these different. You can enter. You said the Billfish category.
Yeah, that's a great the categories.
Yes, let's talk about the categories.
Well, every tournament's a little bit different, but there's generally Pirates Cove has, I think, 7 levels of entry, and 2 or 3 of them are mandatory.
Okay,
one would be most points, accumulated points, however you got them from releases, from putting one on so that's mandatory. Another one would be the categories for the first bill. Like there's always every day a first billfish category, whether it's caught or released. Then they have categories for the meat fish, tuna, dolphin, walleye. Everybody gets in, most everybody will get in those because you're going to stumble into some eaten fish as well. There are categories for most releases, like in Hatteras. The most releases is good because you want to release fish. So we reward that you released them. So there's the points category. You get a certain amount of points for releases, and there's some bonus points if he qualifies to bring to the dock. So it's 2 different things. And so you have categories like that. And then, and then you have ladies category. You have a youth category. So for us as tournament administrators, there's a lot to keep track of. And especially on the last day of the tournament, when from the line's out of the water at 3 o'clock, you've got to tally up the scores as best you can, and then get everyone on the lie detector. It has to be light. Make sure they all pass. Then you got to figure out what the shares of the money are, and then you got to be ready to put on a change of clothes and get up on the stage and give out the awards. It's a lot going on. Pirates Cove, for their big tournament, they actually hire a professional that does nothing but tournaments. She's a whiz too. But,
okay.
It's she's an accountant. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes.
Right, absolutely. And I know you're heavily involved with these tournaments. Now, we've got, like we said, we got the 21st annual Carolina Boatbuilders tournament happening this week. Coming up in a few weeks, we have Alice Kelly. Now, you were saying you knew Alice Kelly.
I did. And before we leave that,
okay.
I do want to mention that, and we'll talk about this, there are ways that you can get involved in some of that prize money and not fish the tournament. There's some really nice stuff in silent auctions, and most of those are all the tournaments, not just the Boatbuilders, are nonprofits.
Right. Okay. So that's actually a really good point to make. That there's some of the silent auctions, some of these items that people donate are just phenomenal.
Well, there's like, for instance, at Pirates Cove this year in the silent auction, there's 4 giant Yeti ice cooler chests. You know how much they
yeah.
Each one of them has a grand prize, which is a 5 days of fishing and room and board in Costa Rica.
What?
Yeah. And then the rest of the cooler is full of swag.
Yeah.
So you can go and enter the silent. You can enter that. That's a raffle. And they have a silent auction, a whole table full of really nice stuff. And you can come out and walk the docks and look at, and then you can bid in a written form. And if your bid turned out to be the highest, it's a really fun thing. It's like a game. Then you win. They'll let you know at the end of the week. And there's fishing tackle, there's clothing, there's topsiders, there's shoes, there's vacations, a lot of charters on there, free charters, things like that.
That's
so
pretty
you can
cool.
do that. But yeah, that's the way you can participate a little bit. And by the way, don't forget also that you go. We do the live video stream in these 3 tournaments, which will be the Boatbuilders tournament starting tomorrow, and then on August 11th, Alice Kelly, August the 13th, the Pirates Cove tournament. If you just Google Pirates Cove tournaments, and you'll find on there where it says listen live, and you'll hear me all day long.
There's actually an app, I believe.
There sure is.
You can download the app.
The app is the best way to go.
Yes.
But you can also go to the website, which will direct you to the app.
Right.
If you forget what the app is, just Google Pirates Cove tournament.
It's funny because I was listening with my wife. She has fished the Alice Kelly tournament probably the last 7 or 8 years. And I remember she was offshore I was sitting in church, and I didn't realize I left the app on. And all of a sudden, I hear the radio go off. Yes, in church. And I was like, oh, shoot. Because I was trying to keep track of everything because it'll post.
Oh, yeah.
You can listen to the VHF radio on it,
right?
And you can also you can see as it's being updated. You have a lot to do with the radio part, and I believe Ashley does some of the input of. Is that
That's
right?
Exactly right.
Ashley Crossweight.
I do the talking,
yes,
and then she updates the different websites,
yes.
So but the fun thing is, there's only 2 tournaments I know that do what we do, Big Rock and us, and that's where we have a VHF antenna way up in a secret location that you can that is relayed to us with some very high tech, very expensive computer equipment, and so you can sit at home on the internet or on your phone and listen to your boat, and it's really cool, especially when it gets hot. Don't forget, in the Pirates Cove tournament 1 year, we had over 400 billfish in one day. You talk about writer's cramp.
Yes.
But yeah, you can do it. And I didn't mean to change the subject about Alice.
No, that's totally fine, Marty. Totally fine. But yeah, so let's shift back over that. So the Alice Kelly tournament, now that's a ladies only tournament.
Right.
And that is huge.
It is.
It is so
It's the
big.
biggest tournament for us.
Yes.
Numbers wise.
Holy smokes, is it? Alice Kelly. Was she a boat captain? What was she, Marty?
Well, Alice Kelly was a bartender.
Okay.
But she was, amongst other things, she was, for me, back in the late 70s, she was part of an all-girl charter that came with Karen Griffin, who was the late Charter Griffin's mom. Man, they were a hoot, and I could go on and on about them, but they fished as a group. Then she was in the restaurant business in different capacities. The one she was best known for was the bartender upstairs at Owen's restaurant.
Okay.
Where a lot of us would go after a long day. Mm-hmm. And she fished hard and fished well and was well liked. And she died. She lost her battle with cancer. And when she did, a group of people got together to start a charity tournament to raise money and for cancer, local cancer programs. Mm-hmm. And they've been doing that ever since. The tournament grows and grows and grows. There will be 150 or more boats, 6 to 10 women per boat. You can do the math. And let me tell you something. If you're going to come walk the docks any day to watch a tournament and you want to see and laugh and have a great time, August 11th at Pirates Cove would be the day. I'll give you fair warning. As you know, parking on that day is really tough.
Holy mackerel.
So here's what you do. Go around across the street and park under the bridge by the boat ramps on the Manio Nags Head Causeway, and that is the Washington Bomb Bridge. Park under there, and they have a shuttle, a big golf cart that carries like 12 people that goes back and forth. Do not attempt to park over on the pavilion side or park on the grass or somewhere where you will get towed. They have certain fire law restrictions that they have to stick by. So come out that day, walk the docks, and another thing is, most everything is open in the pavilion over there. You can actually buy dinner passes for all these tournaments, and most of them do include the bar. They're very strict on the regulations on how that happens. But if you don't want to eat or drink, you can walk in and see all the exhibits. There's artwork, there's jewelry, there's T-shirts, there's clothing, there's shoes, there's everything under that pavilion, and you're welcome just to come and browse.
Yeah, that's always been a lot of fun. A lot of like you said, the laugh and everything like that. And just, I know my wife, like I said, she's fished that tournament probably the last 7 or 8 years, and she enjoys every stinking moment of it. She loves it so much.
So if you're on the dock with your young kids and you see a boat coming in with all kinds of bathing suit tops and bottoms in the outrigger, that's when you might want to walk the kids in the pavilion.
Take them the other way.
Take them the other way.
It is definitely a lot of fun, that's for sure. And they enjoy the heck out of it. And of course, the big game tournament happening a couple of days after that, which you'll be out there doing the radio.
Same thing, yeah.
Same thing. And Ashley will be kind of your sidekick, I guess we'll call her.
Yeah, she actually pretty much does all the physical work. Heather's the brains and the personality. Ashley is the priceless gopher.
Right.
And she knows all this high-tech system I just talked to you about. I want to just tell you that there was a day in 2008 that we were all sitting on the dock, and I'm the one that decided to move the weigh-ins of if a blue marlin was caught to the dock, brought to the dock, to move it over and weigh it by the pavilion where everybody's hanging out, because I used to weigh them over on the charter boat.
The charter side, that's right.
It's really cramped and really tough. So we brought a Caterpillar forklift over there and we rigged everything up. I was really, really nervous about that, but I thought, well, some years we don't weigh a marlin,
Right.
So then I get word a really big one is coming to the dock on the Mimi with Captain Paul Spencer.
That's what I was about to say. The Mimi,
my friend Chris Hall was on there. Paul's sons were on there. It's a whole group of people I knew on that boat. And so I talked to them on the cell phone and said, how big? Because I'm like, we just set up a forklift over here in the grass. How big? And they said, real big. And we did. There's a formula you probably know. You can take the girth and the length, and then you put it into a computer thing, and it comes pretty close to guessing how big this fish is. And they'd done that, and they said, it's pretty big, probably a grander. A grander is the gold standard. That's what everybody all their life would like to have. We've had 7 granders caught off Oregon Inlet. That's more than just about anywhere in the world. So I get that word, and I'm looking at that forklift. I'm like, and of course, Randy Gregory and George Lott, who have been the state weighmasters for years, were there. I knew they were in control. So we put a ribbon, like a police barricade, because we talked about it and promoted it just like we're doing right now, and people started coming. We had the estimated time of arrival. Our friend Moose was there.
Okay.
And, oh, my gosh. So the crowd just kept swelling and swelling and swelling. Then we had a little table with some chairs set up, and I'm going to stay out of the weighmaster's way. I'm just going to sit at this table. I've seen plenty of marlin, but I knew it was going to be big. And I was really nervous about them backing in, not tearing up anything, and weighing what could be. We knew we were going to weigh a 300 or 400 pounder. We weren't planning on a 1,000 pounder.
Right.
So, you'll like this story, right? There's a man that used to own the whole place, and probably still does, Glenn Futrell. And Glenn, I didn't realize it, but Glenn comes up, steps across the police barricade, pulls up a chair next to me, and I'm like, oh, no, here's the owner of Pirates Cove. He says, why are they coming over here? I said, well, we're going to weigh the fish on this side of the marina. And he's like, on that forklift? And it was a big forklift. I said, yeah. And he said, whose idea was that? And it was my idea. So they came to the dock, Justin, and they weighed that fish. It weighed 1,228.5 pounds. And you can see it today at Mimi's Tiki Hut at Pirates Cove. That's the marlin that's right there. But nothing broke, and it was... At the time, it was the second biggest blue marlin ever caught in the Atlantic Ocean. So that's the kind of stuff that you can see by coming out and walking the docks and things like that. But don't be careful. Do not come and have multiple drinks and then get out on that highway, because there's police coverage. They know.
Oh, yes.
They know the tournament life. You have to have a designated driver and park. Don't park on the grass.
Absolutely. Don't park on the grass. My Lord, don't park on that grass. Well, Marty, we're going to wrap this up. Again, we've got these tournaments coming up. Glad you were able to kind of come in and go through some of it with us. People, if they want to stop by and say hey to you, more than welcome to. Is that okay?
Absolutely, especially during the Boatbuilders tournament. And a lot of people do that. And I have my new fishing guides, which I'm doing with you guys. I'm really proud of them this year. And we'll have that. Yeah, come on by. Got any questions? I'll be happy to help you. And keep in mind that all these tournaments have volunteer opportunities. So in the Boatbuilders tournament, it's full-on charity. You know? But there's jobs that can be done if you don't mind sitting behind a table, or serving food is the biggest one. But there's all kinds of volunteer opportunities, so take advantage of it if you can.
Well, I know that's a way in, it's a way to be a part of, and it's a way to give back.
Yes.
So that's the fantastic thing about it. And, more hands make for light work.
Yes.
So it's definitely a great opportunity there if you want something to do and you want to be around it, anywhere from serving food to taking out the trash to, Marty, if Marty needs something, Marty needs a cold drink, you take Marty his ice cold Diet Pepsi and he'll be happy with you. So
yeah, we do the Weighmaster, weigh fish. We do a little bit of everything as far as the volunteer opportunities. And if you're really interested in fishing in the tournament, especially the Alice Kelly, you need to start right now for next year. There is not a boat anywhere to take 6
Good
girls
point.
fishing. So you need to plan at least a year ahead.
Good point. Very good point, especially for that tournament. You're right,
Yeah.
because I know that my wife, they were planning their T-shirt designs the other day. Our buddy Phil here at Outer Banks this week has a T-shirt company now that he's started, and he's creating the T-shirts for them. But also, like you said, they were talking about the Alice Kelly tournament and the boat that they were going to fish on way back in February. January even, I think. I don't know. They may have been talking about before that, but the first conversation I heard my wife have with someone was back in like January.
Right.
So,
And you gotta save up some money. You gotta think about the gratuity, the entry fees. There's a lot of things. And I'm more than happy. If you have questions, just see me out at Pirates Cove this week, and I'll try to answer them.
absolutely. Well, Marty, I appreciate you coming in and hanging out with me and talking some tournament talk. Coming up in just a few moments, we're going to jump into some events. But first, hey, Wanchie's Off-Road, Harbor Star Dolphin Tours, couple sponsors of the Outer Banks This Week podcast, and let's hear from them.
When it comes to general maintenance or major modifications on your diesel vehicle, look no further than Wanchie's Off-Road Diesel Performance in Kill Devil Hills. Master mechanic Ryan Walker developed the plan for having his own auto shop over 20 years ago, and today he owns the premium diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks. To have him and his crew take a look under your hood, give him a call today at 252-715-0025 or find him on social media. Wanchie's Off-Road Diesel Performance, the diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks.
What could possibly be more fun than watching a bottlenose dolphin swim and play in the water right beside you? Hop aboard Harbor Star Dolphin Tours at Wanchie's Marina and witness this remarkable animal up close. The Harbor Star is a spacious 50-foot vessel with a wide, shady canopy that runs 2-hour trips multiple times a day, including a breathtaking sunset cruise. To book your tour, go online to wanchiesmarina.com and click Harbor Star Dolphin Tours. See the majestic bottlenose dolphin up close with Harbor Star Dolphin Tours.
All right, Harbor Star Dolphin Tours right there in Wanchie's at Wanchie's Marina. Definitely something you want to do, as Miss Jill was saying in her email. She enjoyed the tour and looks forward to doing it again, probably. I know that I went out on one not long ago and had a great time. Harbor Star Dolphin Tours in Wanchie's Marina. All right, we're going to jump to some events, and of course, all these events can be found online at Outer Banks This Week.com. We're going to start with the Vusic Concert Spotlight. We've got Oration and Pepper with Denim and Article Sound System coming up this Saturday, July 27th. Get your tickets online right now at VusicOBX.com. Got some more content. I know 311's coming up. We've got Jamie Johnson around the corner. So many more shows coming your way. All can be found online at VusicOBX.com. The Lost Colony Outdoor Drama into its 86th season. Make sure you get your tickets online at thelostcolony.org, or you can just go to the ticket booth office right there on site at the north end of Roanoke Island at the Lost Colony Outdoor Drama. Got trivia nights, live music, karaoke at all different places all around the beach. Again, all those can be found on our website at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. Jazz Nights at Owens is still going on. I believe that's Wednesday through Saturday night starting at 9 o'clock. Hey, Mug Night is back at the Jolly Rogers with DJ Styles and Kill Devil Hills. That's every Thursday night. You can bring your own mug, fill it up for $3 with select house beer. 21 and up starting at 9 o'clock. It's a $5 cover. And of course, your boy, Matty P, is going to be in the house hanging out as well. Got brunch at Cafe Pamlico in Buxton from 8 until 1. That's daily. Yoga on the patio every Tuesday and Thursday. And they're doing their uncorked wine tastings on Monday. We got the Downtown Manio Market. That's every Saturday from 9 until 1. Tri-Villages Market in Rodanthe at Camp Hatteras every Wednesday morning from 9 until 1 as well. Oh, look at this. The Ocracoke Ghost and History Tour is happening on Friday, July 26th, starting at Village Craftsman in Ocracoke. Stories from the Lighthouse and historic Howard Street. And a little tour there, the Ghost and History Tour, happening this coming Friday, the 26th. Let's see. The 20th annual Carolina Boatbuilders, as Marty and I were just talking about, that kicks off today, being Thursday, July 25th, and going through Saturday, the 27th at Pirates Cove. Marty says come and see him, so go and say hey and hang out with Capt Marty. I'll be out there hanging out as well. I'll be out there Thursday this evening, and I'll be out there on Saturday as well. Skim Jam going on at Jeanette's Pier from 8 until 5. That's going on July 26th. through the 28th, Friday through a Sunday. Mania First Friday is going to be going on Friday, August 2nd in downtown Mania. That's always a fun time. Definitely want to go down there and check that out. Dance night with DJ Styles. I just talked about DJ Styles, but dance night at the Brewing Station is going to be going on Friday, August 2nd as well. That's going to be starting at 10:30 in the evening. Coming up down in Ocracoke again is the Ocracoke Fig Festival. That's going to be Friday and Saturday, August 2nd and the 3rd. There's more details about that on our website at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. 80s night at Sundogs in Kerala with the DeLoreans. That's going to be going on Tuesday, August 6th, starting at 10 o'clock. I mean, who doesn't love a good 80s party? I was geeking out watching The Karate Kid and Rambo the other day. All movies of the 80s. Oh, and who can forget Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but we're not going to go into a whole lot of detail about that. The Kitty Hawk Kites Pirate Festival is happening Wednesday and Thursday, August 7th and 8th, starting at 10 o'clock both days at the Nags Head Kitty Hawk Kites location. Of course, more details about that on our website. And coming up on Sunday, August 11th, that is the Alice Kelly Tournament Day at Pirates Cove. But there's also a back-to-school party happening at Wanchie's Assembly of God right there at the corner of the Lane and Mill Landing Road, the Red Brick Church in Wanchie's. Again, that's a big thing that they do to give kids backpacks and things. They have a lot of games and fun things to do out there as well. Food, it's a fun time at Wanchie's Assembly of God. And we'll talk more about that in the near future. All right. Whew, let's see. We're going to wrap this thing up. But first, let's hear from our friends over at Insane Seafood in Columbia and Stumpy Point and Outer Banks Boarding Company in Nags Head.
When it comes to finding phenomenal seafood, you gotta go insane. That's right, stop into the Insane Seafood Market right there on Highway 64 in Columbia. Luke Midget and his crew work hard out on the water to make sure you have the freshest selection of seafood around. They provide a wide selection of fish, crabs, shrimp, oysters, and clams, just to name a few. Insane Seafood has a hot bar to satisfy that seafood craving right on the spot. Visit them online at insaneseafood.com and like them on social media. Go insane at Insane Seafood Market, Highway 64 in Columbia.
Experience the stoke of Outer Banks Boarding Company in Nags Head. Service, teamwork, originality, knowledge, and excitement. Owner Lynn Schell and his staff at OBBC focus on an authentic customer experience. With 45 plus years in the industry, they will take the time to guide you through the process of making sure you have what you need. Bodyboarding to skimboarding, surfing to skateboarding, OBBC has a wide selection of all. Come see for yourself. Outer Banks Boarding Company at milepost 10 3/4 on the bypass in Nags Head and at OBBConline.com.
All right. I don't think I forgot anything this week. Marty and I covered a lot of ground. I appreciate him hanging out with me today to do the podcast and talk about tournaments and the fishing tournaments and how detailed they really are. People don't really think about how much goes into these tournaments, and there's a lot to it. These Billfish tournaments, that is. So I appreciate him coming in and shining some light on that with me. Next week, taking the show on the road, Phil, my boss man, Wes, our videographer, and I think Barbecue Mike from Carolina Barbecue Company, Highway 64 in Manio. They're going to be joining me at Buffalo City Distillery in Powell's Point. Yeah, I got to be the driver for those three stooges. Not so much Wes. Wes is cool. Phil can be a stooge. Barbecue Mike, 100% stooge. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to that. Hang out with Mr. Buddy Byram over there at Buffalo City Distillery. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see what happens over there. But that's going to be next week's podcast. Really looking forward to that. Other than that, dude, Outer Banks This Week podcast, all brought to you by Kelly's Automotive in Mania. Wrapping this thing up, episode number 74. If it has doors, it can be yours at Kelly's Automotive. You can check him out online at kellysobxauto.com. All right, I'm out of here. Oh, gosh, in the words of the late, great Freestyle Bob, later.
This has been another radical edition of the Outer Banks This Week podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe, follow us on social media, and listen every Thursday for a new episode.